ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear Prabhujis, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, and we are reading the 53rd verse. Another very beautiful verse from Bhagavad Gita. So Lord Shri Krishna, he continues his teachings and he says to Arjunji, Shruti vipratipanna yada sthashyati nischalaha. Shruti vipratipanna yada sthashyati nischala samadhav achala buddhis. Samadhav achala buddhis tada yogam avapshasi. So another very beautiful verse. Shruti vipratipanna yada sthashyati nischala samadhavachala buddhis tada yogam avapshasi. Shruti vipratipanna yada sthashyati nischala samadhavachala buddhis tada yogam avapshasi. Shruti, Vedic revelation. Vipratipanna, without being influenced by the fruitive results of the Vedas. Te, your, yada, when, sthashyati, remains, nischala, unmoved, samadho, in transcendental consciousness or Krishna consciousness, achala, unflinching, buddhi, intelligence, tada, at that time, yogam, self-realization, avapshasi, you will achieve. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas and when it remains fixed in trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, Shruti vipratipanna yada sthashyati nischalaha samadhav achala buddhi tada yogam avapshasi. And when it remains fixed in trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. So very, very beautiful verse. In the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada explains, to say that one is in Samadhi is to say that one has fully realized Krishna consciousness. That is, one in full Samadhi has realized Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. The highest perfection of self-realization is to understand that one is eternally the servitor of Krishna and that one's only business is to discharge one's duties in Krishna consciousness. A Krishna conscious person or unflinching devotee of the Lord should not be disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, nor be engaged in fruitive activities for promotion to the heavenly kingdom. In Krishna consciousness, one comes directly into communion with Krishna, and thus all directions from Krishna may be understood in that transcendental state. One is sure to achieve results by such activities and attain conclusive knowledge. One has only to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master. So, very beautiful verse. Shruti vipratipanna yada sthashyati nischala yada sthashyati nischala samadhav achala buddhe tada yogam avapshasi. So, when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas and when it remains fixed in trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Shruti, Vedas, Vedic revelation, Shruti, Shruti, Smriti. So, Vedic revelation, Shruti, Vipritipanna, without being influenced by the fruitive results of the Vedas, Sakam Karma. So, Vipritipanna te yada sthashyati remains or fixed up, Nishchalaha, Nishchalaha, unmoving, unflinching. Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport. So, when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, Vipratipanna te yada sthashyati Nishchalaha, Samadhao, Achala Buddhis. Samadhao Achala Buddhi. Achala, again Achala. Nishchala Achala. Unmoved. And Achala, unflinching. So unmoved, unflinching, Samadhao. Transcendental consciousness, Samadhi. Samadhao in transcendental consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Swami Srila Prabhupada is the transcendental consciousness, Samadhi. Achala Buddhis. Tada Yogam, self-realization. Avapshasi, you will achieve. So Lord Shri Krishna is again telling in the previous verses also, Samadhau na vidhiyate. And again Lord Shri Krishna is bringing in the word Samadhi. So battle is about to begin. War is about to begin. And why Lord Shri Krishna is asking Arjunji about Samadhi? So as soon as we say Samadhi, we get a picture in our mind that somebody is sitting like this and with eyes closed and one is in trance. So of course that is also yoga by yogic processes, by various other yogas, Ashtanga yoga and other people try to unite themselves with the Supreme Lord, and that is actually Samadhi. So here war is going to begin, but work or war or battle can also be fought, or work can also be done in the state of Samadhi. And Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport that to say one is in Samadhi or one is in full Samadhi, because the Supreme Lord has various aspects, as we understood in the previous purport. Swami Srila Prabhupada explained very nicely, and he has explained in his teachings, in his conversations, in his lectures. And in the previous purports we understood that the Supreme Lord, he has three features: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. Vadanti tad vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwaniti shabdate. So one can be in full Samadhi or one can be in communion, in the state of Samadhi, in the state of trance. One is in direct communion, as Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport. One is in direct communion with the Supreme Lord and he gets directions in that transcendental state. He gets directions from the Supreme Lord in the state of Samadhi. So Samadhi is the perfection of yoga. Any yoga, the perfection of any yoga is the state of Samadhi. Yoga is done to unite or to establish union with the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord has three features: Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagwan. So to be in full Samadhi means one has already realized all the features of the Supreme Lord. To have complete Samadhi, to be in full Samadhi means to have that transcendental consciousness. That's why Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained that transcendental consciousness as Krishna consciousness. Means one has realized the Brahman, the Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality feature, Bhagavan feature of the absolute truth. In that state only one can be in full Samadhi. So Samadhau Achala Buddhis, and in the state of Samadhi, the Buddhi, the consciousness, the intelligence is unflinching, it is fixed up. So Samadhau Achala Buddhis Tada Yogam Avapshasi. So Lord Shri Krishna here he is telling Arjunji, and Arjunji is fortunate that the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is present personally before himself, and he is guiding him, and he is giving him directions and instructing him to fight. So not darshans of the Lord. People give so much importance. Of course, those who take direct darshan of the Lord, they are also very fortunate and they get liberation. But to have communion with the Lord means to act as per the direction of the Supreme Lord. In that way, one achieves the love of Supreme Lord, which is even higher than liberation. So even Duryodhanji and all the parties, both the parties, all the warriors and soldiers, all of them, they are taking darshan of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is present in the war, in the battlefield, on the chariot of Arjunji, and everyone is having darshan, is taking darshan, is able to see. Even Duryodhana is able to see. But to have communion with the Supreme Lord, that is possible only in the state of Samadhi or trance. Yogam avapshasi, when one is completely self-realized, when one has understood all the features of the Supreme Lord, Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan, and when one has understood completely that one is also part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and is eternal servant. The Supreme Lord has a personal feature as Bhagavan, and every living entity, they are also personalities. Lord Shri Krishna explained in the previous verses, all of us, we are eternal personalities, and the Supreme Lord, he also has personal feature, Bhagavan feature, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, the Brahman, all pervading energy, the Brahman, then Paramatma feature, who is seated in the heart of every living entity, Upadrishta, Anumanta, and then he has the Bhagavan feature, Supreme Personality, and every living entity, they are his part and parcel, and they are his eternal servant. All of us, every living entity, Ekala Ishvara Krishna are Sabhritya. Lord Chaitanya has explained in his teachings, who is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. So everybody is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and is an eternal servitor, eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. So when one has complete knowledge, or when one is fixed up in self-realization, in trance, in that state, one is in communion with the Lord. Samadhau achala buddhi tada yogam avapshasi. And one's buddhi, one's consciousness is unflinching. One is completely out of ignorance, material ignorance, but that state is possible when your mind is no longer disturbed by flowery language of the Vedas. Shruti vipratipannate yada sthashati nishchalaha. Because all of us, we are here in this material world because of material desires. We want to fulfill our material desires. We want to enjoy independently in this material world. We want to lord it over this material world. We want to lord over the material nature. Every individual being who is there in this material world, Iksha Dvesha Samuddhena, Lord Shri Krishna will explain in the forthcoming verses. Manashasthani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. So every living entity, they are trying to become Lord in this material world. And one who realizes that he is eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, he has no other business than to serve the Supreme Lord. So one who is fixed up in that consciousness, that divine consciousness, samadhau achala buddhis, tada yogam avapshasi. When one is fixed up in trance of self-realization, then fixed in trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness, samadho, and in that state one gets direction directly from the Supreme Lord. Because in the state of samadhi, the soul is in communion. The soul is in direct communion with the super soul. The living entity is in directly communion with the Supreme Lord. And one receives directions in that transcendental state. Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained in the purport. And if one act according to those directions of the Supreme Lord, then one is sure to achieve results. And one is sure to get conclusive knowledge. All of us, we want conclusive knowledge. Our minds are disturbed. Our consciousness, our buddhi is always flinching. It is not fixed up. We are not able to decide. So one is sure to get conclusive knowledge. One is sure to get results. Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained in the purport. And one is sure, though very small purport, but so many beautiful transcendental concepts. So in that state, one is sure to get result and one is sure to get conclusive knowledge. And Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained, one only need to follow the direction of the Supreme Lord. So because we all are servant, it is our duty. Because we are part and parcel of the whole, it is the duty. It is our duty, it is our eternal duty. Then that is the eternal constitutional position of every living entity. Jivera Swarup hai Nityera Krishna Das, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained. So to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna or to follow the orders of his representative, bona fide Acharya. Because a bona fide Acharya also says what the Supreme Lord has said. So in the Kali Yuga, Arjunji was fortunate that Lord Shri Krishna is present with him on the chariot and he is giving him directions. He is giving him order. And for people, for everyone, those who are there in this age of Kali, so the orders of the Supreme Lord are there in the form of orders of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if one execute those orders, if one chant the holy name of the Lord and other directives given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then one is sure to get result in his life. One is sure to attain perfection and conclusive knowledge. So the perfection of any yoga, so perfection of yoga is samadhi, and various yogas, karma yoga, buddhi yoga, dhyan yoga, gyan yoga, ashtanga yoga, they are meant for uniting or for re-establishing the relationship between soul and super soul, the relationship between every living entity and the Supreme Lord. And if one follows the order of the Supreme Lord or his bona fide representative, then that communion, that re-establishment of one's lost relationship with the Supreme Lord is possible. So that's why Swami Srila Prabhupada told one has only to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado yasya aprasadanna gati kutopi. So Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the previous purports also. If one satisfies the spiritual master, then one can get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So to say that one is in Samadhi is to say that one has fully realized Krishna consciousness. That is, one is in full Samadhi, has realized Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So one has fully realized Krishna consciousness, one has completely become Krishna conscious. And in that state, one only act for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nishkam. One do not act with fruitive mentality. One do not act for fruitive results. And that is possible only when we are not disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, or flowery language of the Vedas, or in other words, when we are not hankering for material results, for material enjoyment, when we completely give up. So our mind, it automatically, the karma kanda, jnana kanda and upasana kanda, so our minds automatically shifts from the karma kanda portion of the Vedas. And in that knowledge, fixed up in that knowledge, fixed up in that buddhi, one perfectly knows that one's action should be done only for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. One's buddhi is fixed up. Shruti vipratipannate yada sthashati nischalaha. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, when it remains fixed in trance of self-realization, yogam samadhavachala buddhis tada yogam avapshasi. So one is in full Samadhi, has realized Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. The highest perfection of self-realization is to understand that one is eternally the servitor of Krishna, and that one's only business is to discharge one's duties in Krishna consciousness. One's only business, when one has completely realized, when one has completely understood, when one is fixed in trance of self-realization. That is the meaning of fixed in trance of self-realization. So a Krishna conscious person or unflinching devotee, Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained. So a Krishna conscious person becomes a devotee of the Supreme Lord. Devotee means one who has understood his relationship with the Supreme Lord, and he always try to act or work in devotion. And Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained devotion, devotional service. He always try to perform loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and in exchange he gets the reciprocation from the Supreme Lord in the form of his love, that is a transcendental result. So a Krishna conscious person or unflinching devotee of the Lord should not be disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, nor be engaged in fruitive activities for promotion to the heavenly kingdom. So he is no more interested, a devotee, an unflinching devotee who is fixed up in trance of self-realization, samadhav achalaha buddhi. His buddhi is fixed up. He is no more interested. He is no more interested in sense gratification. He is no more interested in material enjoyment. He do not want to get promoted to heavenly planets, nor does he work impiously and get demoted in next life, he utilizes his human energy in the devotion, in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord with devotion. He engages all his activities in Nishkam Karma. And Swami Srila Prabhupada, he explained in the previous purports, such interested Krishna conscious works or such disinterested obligatory duties surely leads one towards liberation. So, in Krishna consciousness, one comes directly into communion with Krishna, and thus all directions from Krishna may be understood in that transcendental state. The Supreme Lord is absolute truth, His reality is truth, and the absolute truth. So, in communion with the Supreme Lord, one get all directions from Krishna in the transcendental state. In Krishna consciousness, one comes directly into communion with Krishna, and thus all directions from Krishna may be understood in that transcendental state. One is sure to achieve results by such activities and attain conclusive knowledge. So, one has to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master. So, Arjunji again, Lord Shri Krishna is asking Arjunji, or Lord Shri Krishna is asking, because Arjunji is playing the part of a conditioned soul. So, in one through the medium of Lord Arjunji, Lord Shri Krishna is trying to tell all the conditioned souls of this material world to work in Krishna consciousness, to work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, understanding well our constitutional position as eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, and his bona fide representative Swami Srila Prabhupada is also requesting all of us in that way to work in that consciousness, to be fixed up in Krishna consciousness, and thus benefit ourselves eternally. So very beautiful verse, Shruti Vipratipannate yada thashyati nischalaha samadhav achala buddhis tada yogam avapshasi. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So, very beautiful verse and very beautiful purport explanation by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So with this, I would like to stop here, and in our next session, we will try to understand the next verse. So, Jai Vishnupad Paramhans Parivrajacharya Shrotra Shat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki Jai. All glories to His Divine Grace Krishna Kripa Murti Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Shri Krishna, all glories to Bhagavad Gita, all glories to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Holy Name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.